Today, we got a special guest, Mr. Propaganda. We're going to talk about racism, a little CHH history, and his spirit as an entrepreneur. Don't you go anywhere. Hey, yo, what's going on? It's your man Ruslan with KingsDreamENT.com. This channel exists to encourage, empower, inspire you to live out God's dream for your life. And before we get into the interview, got to send a big shout out to all of our Patreon community holding this thing down. If you don't know, the full interviews drop there first. So you go check that out. If you're new here, consider subscribing, all that good stuff. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite people, one of the dopest spoken word artists of our generation, a thinker, a philosopher, the son of a Black Panther, former teacher, so much more. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jason Petty, also known as Propaganda. How you
What's
feeling?
up, y'all? I'm tired.
You tired?
Ready to go to bed.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, dog. Let's do it.
I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, you got the screen. Look, I can see the
You can see? You like that?
Lord, look at that.
Look at that. There you go.
You got lights. Look at that.
I got it together.
Yeah. Not a game.
You've been traveling a whole lot,
I have.
all over the country, all over the world.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit for me.
Yeah, so I just got back from Ethiopia. I still haven't gone home yet. We're about to wrap in an hour, me and you.
We're Domination 19.
Yep.
Have you eaten?
I did eat. I had some Chick-fil-A nuggets.
Hello.
Got some nugs.
Hello.
Some young nugs. So I got back on Tuesday. Today is Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been speaking and rapping. Since then, I get to finally go home Sunday. So I'm at the end of this. But yeah, Ethiopia was incredible for a number of reasons. I went with an organization called Food for the Hungry. Okay. Who we're going to do sort of a creative kind of partnership with them in the next album.
Dope.
Not so much like, sponsor my tour. Like
Yeah.
it's, we're going to do much more because they do much more than sponsoring.
Dope.
Yeah.
I love it. Me and you met 2003. I remember first time meeting you, we was at Dax's studio.
The Rathole,
The iconic Rathole.
Yep.
You were originally from the Tunnel Rats, and then you branched off and have. I feel like there's been like different reiterations of Prop.
I'm like the Dave Grohl. The Dave Grohl of this thing.
There was the Tunnel Rats, which you guys sparked. I remember y'all did that really dope battle movie.
Yeah,
and you was in that.
Yeah. Battle for LA.
Yeah, that was dope. And then Humble Beast.
Yeah.
And now you're podcasting. You're doing a circuit. One of the things that I've always appreciated about you is how thoughtful you are, engaging you are, and I don't know, I feel like you're very patient with explaining stuff to people.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy teaching.
Yeah.
I really do. Like, I don't have the sort of pastoral bend.
Sure.
But the teaching, you know what I mean, and finding creative ways to explain things and tap just sort of the human resonance is something I think is an art form in itself.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean?
And I remember specifically there was this time in 2016, it was a summer 2016, and there was, we were already meeting with some local San Marcos sheriffs.
Yeah.
Me, Belief, my buddy Reg Henney, I'm trying to think who else was there, my buddy Daniel Golding, who was friends with these sheriffs, and we ended up building this relationship. And I remember sitting there with them, and we were talking about the tension that was happening, right? In terms of the police, the black on black, the police brutality, and some of their pushbacks were, right? And it was like the typical, like, well, what about black on black crime? All lives matter. Yeah. And the thing that I remember, I don't know why I was texting. I think I wanted you to like come and hang out with us. I was texting with you at that point, and I remember they pushed back and were like, well, what about fatherlessness in the black community and babies being born out of wedlock? You know what I'm saying? And this came up today, this week on Twitter. Derek Minor and everybody's going back and forth. Dr.
James
White said the same thing and was like, what is the more cause of black women getting abortions? Is it slavery from 160 years ago, or is it their sin or whatever, their exploitative sexual, right? So there's these caricatures that I think white people, and I hate to even use that phrase, but like we'll just say that for the sake, they have these caricatures of black people that are just, I think, off. You know what I'm saying? And they're not rooted in reality, but they can seem that way. And I loved your explanation. I don't remember if you remember how you answered that question about fatherlessness in the black home, but I remember it definitely like shaped and changed my view of it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I wanted, do you remember what you said?
No.
you broke down how in the black community there's less safety nets.
Yeah.
And so if there's a breakdown that happens, there's less financial safety nets, there's less career safety nets.
Yeah.
So if a family breaks apart, it's harder for someone that's from a different socioeconomic standards to be as engaged, right? Versus someone that is of a middle class, upper middle class. They can have multiple wives and multiple sister wives and different houses, right?
Totally.
But that's different. And then there's been studies that have recently came out that says that like the whole like black dads aren't involved or whatever.
It's just not true.
It's just not true. It's just a myth. You know what I mean? What are some of like your like what are some misconceptions that non-black people have about the black community with regards to, I guess, morality and family?
Yeah. It's crazy. It's a hard question because
there's so many.
Number one, and it's like it's hard for me to know. The hardest part is like I don't understand what they don't understand. Like it's because the baseline is just the otherizing, is the idea that like somewhere in the formation of personhood and identity that comes from just, when I say white people, for the argument we're talking about as a social construct,
yes,
right? Your concept of whiteness is still stooped in like a supremacy motif that would somehow see us as quasi-human, right? That you're human kind of. So because of that, you think that there's other rules for us. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I mean, we just as human as you are. You know what I'm saying? So like, and we're just as complex and, you know, and intimately tied to our experiences and tied to our histories. And you know, if a person has, you know, we was talking off mic here, just you getting some more trauma-informed therapy, you know what I'm saying, and understanding yourself better because now you understand some of your trauma that you didn't know you had. Right. Well, you just take that and just make it collective. Yes. So the decisions oftentimes that we're making they're from a collective trauma. You know what I'm saying? That anyone in that situation would have. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I think that there's an idea that that we're somehow have some sort of propensity to things that other people don't. You know what I mean? That is still based in just an old concept of eugenics, you know what I mean? That it's in the DNA. You know what I mean?
And so you said white supremacy, right? Which is instantly going to trigger some of the white folks watching this, and they think like white supremacy means like I'm not a neo-Nazi. I don't hate black people, right? But the idea of eugenics, the idea of supremacy, meaning like I love how you explain that. Yeah. You're viewing a class of people as subhuman. So what you're saying is, because I'm very logical, right? Yeah. So I think if you look at the experience of any oppressed group, specifically with the black community, you're left with two conclusions. They're either genetically inferior or different, or society has done some things to that specific group in a group trauma dynamic that's caused the issues that we have.
That's what I meant by the otherizing. You know what I'm saying? Is that when you otherize somebody, you're left with those conclusions. Yes. Either I'm wrong or I'm justified because they're somehow not me. And it's just anybody who studied just or even found a meme, if you will, just about the steps in genocide. You know what I'm saying? And the first step is otherizing. Wow. Right? That's step number one. And then you get to call them dehuman things. They're scum, they're vermin, they're cancerous. They're a cancer.
Super predators.
They're super predators. Yeah. They're a cancer on our economy. They're straining our justice system. Right? So they're sending us their worst. Hello. Right? So you can, if you refer to them as something subhuman, then the next step, you're 3 steps from a concentration camp. You know what I'm saying? Because I can justify it. So,
and
now,
it's almost not conscious.
That's what I was gonna say.
More subconscious.
You're at a place now where just how culture works, like culture becomes culture when you don't notice it anymore. That's how it works. But it's all made up. Like it came from somewhere. Like that's cultures. If there's no humans, there's no culture. It's we are trying to figure out how to live together. Right.